It's wild to think that centuries after the White House was first built, the faces that once shaped America's story still walk among us. Not as statues or figures from history books, but as living, breathing reminders of where we came from. And when you line them up side by side, it's almost eerie. The resemblance, the posture, even the eyes. It's as if history left fingerprints that never faded. 16 living descendants of US presidents, each carrying a legacy written in their DNA. Take Abraham Lincoln, for example, the great emancipator himself. Tall, solemn, unforgettable. Now look at Ralph Lincoln, his 11th generation cousin. The resemblance hits you instantly. The same long face, the sharp eyes, the gravity in his expression. It's like Abe stepped out of a daguerreotype and into a modern world, trading stovepipe hats for suit jackets, but keeping the same soul in his stare. Then there's Thomas Jefferson, a man who penned freedom into existence, now echoed in the presence of his 6th great-grandson, Shannon Lanier. Shannon, a journalist and public speaker, carries Jefferson's lineage with a twist that history never saw coming. He's a black man, descended from Jefferson's controversial relationship with Sally Hemings. And when Shannon speaks about his ancestor, there's no bitterness, just truth. A living, walking conversation about America's past, its contradictions, and the legacy that still lives on in his veins. Next up, Theodore Roosevelt, the Rough Rider, the man who charged up San Juan Hill and wrestled bears with his bare hands, or so the legend says. His great-grandson Tweed Roosevelt may not be charging into battle, but the resemblance is uncanny. The same fierce eyes, that unmistakable mustache, just with a calmer, more academic edge. Tweed carries the Roosevelt spirit differently, through intellect and conservation, but make no mistake, the fire's still there. James A. Garfield, the president whose life was cut short by assassination, left behind not just a tragic story, but a brilliant legacy. His great-great-grandson, Richard Garfield, didn't follow politics. He created magic, the gathering. Think about that. A man descended from a fallen president ends up creating one of the most complex, imaginative games ever made. A different kind of battlefield, but the same tactical mind. Grover Cleveland, remembered for being the only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, has a grandson named George Cleveland, a man who inherited not just the name, but the gentle, thoughtful energy. George doesn't seek the spotlight, but when he speaks, there's that same calm confidence his grandfather had when facing down chaos. Harry Truman, the man who made the hardest decision any leader could ever make, has a grandson, Clifton Truman Daniel. Clifton has taken that history and turned it into something powerful. He travels the world speaking about the weight of his grandfather's choices. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the dawn of the nuclear age. You can see the conflict in his face, the legacy in his tone. It's as if he's still carrying some of that burden. Then there's Lyndon B. Johnson, the Texan who signed the Civil Rights Act. His daughter, Lyndon Johnson Robb, still radiates that same Texas strength. Calm, commanding, but with a warmth that humanizes her father's complicated legacy. You see her, and you can almost hear the echo of LBJ's Southern drawl. Richard Nixon's grandson, Christopher Nixon Cox, carries that same sharp, intense energy that made Nixon both fascinating and controversial. Christopher didn't inherit the paranoia, but he did inherit the gravitas, the serious demeanor, the controlled presence. When he speaks, there's that same commanding rhythm that once filled the Oval Office. James Monroe's descendant, Richard Emery Gatchell, has the air of someone who knows he's part of something ancient. He stands with the posture of the old portraits. Formal, proud, composed. Monroe helped define America's foreign policy. Gatchell helps preserve the memory. Dwight Eisenhower's granddaughter, Mary Jean Eisenhower, inherited his calm authority. When she talks, she has that quiet, commanding kindness that Ike was known for. She spent her life working in humanitarian efforts, proving that leadership really can skip generations and still hit its mark. And then comes the Kennedy legacy, the one that seems to shimmer like American myth. Caroline Kennedy, daughter of John F. Kennedy, doesn't just look like her father, she moves like him. The same elegance, the same gentle voice that hides the same steel underneath. Watching her speak feels like time travel. It's haunting and beautiful all at once. Ronald Reagan's son, Ron Reagan, looks like a mirror from a different decade. The same smile, the same eyes that once looked into the camera and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Except Ron's path couldn't be more different. Outspoken, independent, unafraid to challenge the beliefs his father once held. Different politics, same confidence. Ulysses S. Grant's great-great-grandson, Ulysses Grant Dietz, inherited more than a name. The man who once commanded armies now echoes through a museum curator who commands history. Ulysses the general won wars. Ulysses the descendant preserves them. Herbert Hoover's great-granddaughter, Margaret Hoover, carries herself like someone who was born into responsibility. She's on television, dissecting policy and politics, the way her great-grandfather once dissected the Great Depression. Different battlefields, same clarity of thought. Even Calvin Coolidge and James K. Polk, names that echo from dusty history books, have their modern counterparts, faces that could easily blend in today, yet still carry something almost sacred about them. A jawline, a gaze, a smirk that makes you stop and think, I've seen that before, in a history book. Some of these descendants walk quietly among us, unknown to most. Others step into the spotlight carrying a last name that weighs as much as a monument. But together, they remind us that history doesn't end when the textbooks close. It breathes, it evolves, it lives on in faces that look oddly familiar, faces that make you pause and whisper, wait a second, that looks just like him. Because maybe that's the truth. The story of America isn't just about the men and women who built it. It's about the people still walking around with their eyes, their laughter, their convictions, and their blood. A living, breathing timeline, from the cracked portraits of the 1700s to the high-definition photos of today. The names may change, the clothes, the world, the politics, all of it moves on, but those faces, those will always feel like deja vu. History, reincarnated, one family at a time.
A little bit of makeup goes a long way for Luis Ortiz, all the way to the White House.
Damn, that's Barack Obama.
The former technician makes a living pretending to be the most powerful man on the planet, and he doesn't work alone. His partner Mike is Mitt Romney.
And it's weird business though, because if people don't like Mitt Romney, they don't like me.
From their carefully dyed hair to perfectly ironed suits, being a political impersonator is a full-time job.
What color tie are you wearing, Louis? I have red and blue, so I didn't know I was supposed to have the same. Red.
But it's not just appearances that matter. Both men also have to work on other defining traits.
The mannerisms and stuff are easier for me. It's the voice.